Welcome into another edition of Inside the Lines. I'm Tommy Ashley. That's Grace Nugent. We are sponsored by Johnny T-Shirt, of course. North Carolina opens the Chapel Hill region today with a 4-0 win over Holy Cross. Story of the game. Seems like this is getting repetitive, especially on Fridays. Jake Knapp. Grace, find the words, because we have spent a lot of words on Knapp's performances thus far this year. Today, he does it again.
I mean, he passed his career high. He had 119 pitches. He made a deal with Forbes to go back out for the ninth. If he allowed a base runner, he would be pulled. He was pulled. He was just shy of another complete game for him. But he talked about the adrenaline and just how much this means in the post-game press conference. The last NCAA regional, or just tournament game in general, he pitched in Terre Haute, Indiana against Iowa in the 2023 regional that the Tar Heels eventually lost. And this was Jake's last guaranteed game at Boshemer Stadium. I think that's really big. He put so much emotion into his pitching performance. We saw him get the most emotive we've ever seen. He's told me before he's a pretty calm and steady presence on the mound. Gavin Gallagher said that as well in the postgame. But today, I mean, he had a strikeout to get rid of a bases-loaded jam, and it was the most emotive Jake Knapp I've ever seen. So I think that is just kind of indicative to that. He puts everything out there on the field. He told me that one of the reasons he likes to go so deep into outings is because he can, and it does everything for his bullpen behind him. For the guys that he said, his words, have a brighter future than he does. He want to make sure that he can pitch and do whatever he can to help his team win and take some of the pressure off some of those younger arms.
Absolutely. Walker McDuffie comes in, gets the last couple of outs. Pretty easy outing. Forbes said he thought McDuffie might be better tomorrow after having thrown, but Knapp, like you mentioned, the bases loaded jam, he gets the strikeout, hits 97 on the gun, gets fired up. We don't see Jake Knapp do that much, and he was fired up. Interesting press conference story about the decision to go back out there in the ninth. I don't think he left it up to any coaches to go back out there tonight, but they made a deal, and he was able to last an out and get that 8 1/3. Longest postseason outing for North Carolina since Hobbs Johnson, 2013 College World Series against NC State. Grace, Carolina sort of played the small ball. We talked about going into this game that Holy Cross liked to play the small brand of baseball, similar to Carolina. Carolina did that today, was able to beat Holy Cross at their own game and prevent Holy Cross from doing those things that they like to do.
I mean, 5 stolen bases for the Tar Heels. Kane had 2, Gavin had 2. And then I think the biggest thing was that Holy Cross came into this game with 123 stolen bases. Coach Forbes had said earlier they're going to be like BC, they're going to be like Louisville, they're just going to cause some havoc. And while they did have base runners, I believe at one point their leadoff guys were like 6 for 8 or 5 for 8, something like that. The leadoff guy got on a lot, but 0 stolen bases for this team. They tried, but it just didn't work for them, and UNC took advantage of that. They turned 3 double plays, almost 4, which if they got the 4th, that would have been the first time they've turned 4 in a season. And I think that defense was really crucial, especially to keeping Jake in the game and getting him out of some of those jams with the leadoff runner getting on as much as they did. But this Holy Cross team put up a great fight. And they said that they have a lot of confidence with their at-bats. There was a few, especially the first one of the entire game. I believe it was 9 pitches. That is how you get a pitcher like Jake or any sort of pitcher where you can't catch up to the stuff with the pitches. And they fouled off ball after ball and prolonged at-bats and really gave this UNC pitching staff, i.e. Jake and Walker, and this defense a lot to work with.
Yeah, we spoke to Ed Kohavik after the game, Brendan Jones? Brendan Jones and Jimmy King after the game, they talked about, the goal going in was to get Jake Knapp up in pitch count. They were able to do that. Could not be effective because of Jake's quickness to the plate, and I thought that was an interesting dynamic there. They love to steal bases, but you can't steal if the pitcher's getting home very quickly. Don't know if you can tell, but the tarp is on the field here in Boshemer Stadium. Oklahoma, Nebraska, and it's starting to rain. Oklahoma, Nebraska set for later this evening. Might be a lot later. But, Grace, going forward for North Carolina, there was a reason to play this game early. There was a reason to pitch Jake Knapp. Carolina checked all the boxes today so far in Boshemer.
Yeah, they're in the win column, and I feel like this happened in the ACC tournament. Once they get a game under their belt, they get the adrenaline, they settle in. that BC game, I mean, it went to the 7th and they were losing, and then they came out against a really talented Florida State team and they were right there, and then they were right there in the Clemson game. So I think having this game this early to start the regional is going to be really good for them. If this next game plays late, they'll be able to watch. Malachi Witherspoon will be pitching for Oklahoma. That's, been a big storyline. Which Witherspoon is it? Will be pitching against Nebraska whenever that does happen. And then after that last game, UNC will know who they will be playing tomorrow, and that Coach Gaines, Coach Howell, Coach Weirs, they all have the billions and billions of pieces of paper of scouting reports on both Nebraska and Oklahoma. It will just depend on which one they will be breaking out for tomorrow.
Absolutely. Gaines, Howell, Weirs-Bickey, Forbes, all
Jackson,
those guys. Scott Jackson, big part of that. They will be prepared. No matter who North Carolina faces on the field, on the mound, it doesn't matter. Carolina will be ready to go. Late game tomorrow, 6 o'clock game. Weather permitting, given all the weather tonight, we'll see how the schedule shakes out. But North Carolina 4-0 winners in the regional opener. Jake Knapp, the story. Walker McDuffie closes it out. Carolina scores just enough runs to win, shut out the Crusaders. That's Grace Nugent. I'm Tommy Ashley. We're sponsored by Johnny T-Shirt. We'll be back with more Inside the Lines tomorrow night after North Carolina's, second round game?
Yes.
Second day game?
Winners bracket game?
Winners bracket game. That's good enough for me. Shout out to Johnny T-Shirt. Shout out to everybody listening. Everybody stay safe.